What you are about to see is real footage, captured by a security camera inside one of Los Angeles' most notorious hotels. It was reviewed hundreds of times by detectives. It was studied by the public for years. And still, no one has a complete answer. Her name was Elisa Lam. She was 21 years old, a university student from Vancouver, Canada. Bright, curious, passionate about travel and literature. She kept a blog about her adventures. She had a future. On February 19th, 2013, 19 days after this footage was recorded, hotel maintenance workers discovered her body inside the rooftop water tank. The same tank that had been supplying water to hotel guests for weeks. How did she get there? What happened in those 19 missing days? And who, or what, was she hiding from in that elevator? To answer those questions, we have to go back to the beginning. Elisa Lam was not just a mystery. She was a person. And to understand what happened to her, you have to understand who she was. She was born in Hong Kong and raised in Vancouver, British Columbia. By her early 20s, she was studying at the University of British Columbia. She was a voracious reader. She loved Sylvia Plath, Jack Kerouac, and the idea of losing herself in a city she had never seen before. She had been open about her struggles. On her Tumblr blog, she wrote candidly about living with bipolar disorder and depression. She wasn't hiding from it. She was navigating it, day by day. Her blog was a window into a deeply thoughtful, sensitive mind. In late January 2013, she embarked on what she called her West Coast tour. San Diego, Los Angeles, Santa Cruz, San Francisco. A solo trip, an adventure. She was traveling alone, but she wasn't afraid. She checked into the Cecil Hotel on January 26, 2013. It was affordable. It was centrally located. What she may not have known, or perhaps didn't care about, was the hotel's long and deeply troubled history. The Cecil Hotel had been home to at least 2 known serial killers. It had seen suicides, overdoses, and violent crimes stretching back decades. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, once lived there. The hotel had a darkness baked into its walls. And in January 2013, Elisa Lam walked straight into it. She checked in on a Tuesday. She posted on her blog. She explored the city. By all accounts, the first few days were exactly what she had hoped for. Then, on January 31st, everything changed. On January 31st, 2013, Elisa Lam was captured on the hotel's elevator security camera. The footage runs for approximately 4 minutes. It was released by the Los Angeles Police Department weeks later in a desperate attempt to find her. She enters the elevator and presses multiple buttons, seemingly all of them. The elevator doesn't move. She steps out into the hallway, peers around the corner as if looking for someone, or hiding from someone. Then she steps back inside. Her movements are erratic, fluid, then sudden. She talks, or mouths words, to someone or something that is not visible on camera. Her hands move in gestures that look almost like a conversation. Then, she walks out of frame. The elevator doors finally close. Alone. She is never seen on camera again. Alive. Her family reported her missing on February 1st. The Los Angeles Police Department launched a search. Officers checked her room. They found her belongings still there. Her clothes, her journal. Nothing suggested she had planned to leave. For nearly 3 weeks, Elisa Lam was simply gone. The hotel staff saw nothing. The cameras captured nothing further. It was as if she had dissolved into the building itself. Then came the complaints. Hotel guests began reporting that the water pressure on their floors was low, that the water from their taps had a strange taste, a strange color. Some said it smelled odd. Management filed a maintenance request, a routine check of the building's water system. Nobody suspected what was waiting on that rooftop. On February 19, 2013, 19 days after she was last seen, hotel maintenance worker Santiago Lopez climbed to the roof to investigate the water pressure issues. He checked the tanks, one by one. When he looked inside the fourth tank, he found Elisa Lam. She was floating face up, unclothed. Her clothes were found at the bottom of the tank, beside her. The hatch to the tank had been closed. The tanks were 15 feet tall, accessible only by a ladder on the exterior of the building. Getting there required crossing the roof, bypassing a fire door alarmed from the inside, climbing the tank exterior, and opening a heavy hatch. It was not a place someone stumbled into by accident. The Los Angeles County coroner ruled her death an accidental drowning. Contributing factor, bipolar disorder. There were no signs of physical trauma, no signs of a struggle, no defensive wounds. Accidental, they said. Case closed. Most people didn't accept that. And when you look closely at the evidence, it is not difficult to understand why. Because the official ruling answers very little and leaves far too much, completely unexplained. There are 4 questions at the heart of this case. 4 questions that investigators, journalists, and millions of ordinary people have wrestled with for over a decade. 4 questions that remain, to this day, without a satisfying answer. If the coroner is right, if this was accidental, then Elisa Lam somehow made her way to the roof alone, in the dark, climbed a 15-foot tank, opened a heavy metal hatch, got inside, and drowned. And then the hatch closed, on its own. None of that is impossible. But all of it is deeply, deeply strange. Question 1. The fire door. To reach the roof, you must pass through a fire exit door that triggers an alarm when opened from the inside. Hotel staff reported that alarm was not triggered that night. How did she get to the roof? Question 2. The elevator. In the footage, the elevator doors do not respond normally. She presses buttons, and nothing happens. Some have suggested the elevator was being held, either by her or by someone else, just out of frame. Question 3. Her behavior. A dissociative or manic episode could explain her strange movements. It is a reasonable medical explanation. But it doesn't explain how she ended up in a sealed tank, 4 stories above the ground. Question 4. The hatch. It was heavy. It required effort to open. If Elisa entered the tank and the hatch fell shut behind her, she would have been trapped, with no way out. 4 questions, no clean answers. And yet, people have tried. In the years since Elisa Lam's death, investigators, journalists, and millions of ordinary people around the world have tried to answer these questions. None of them have fully succeeded. But several theories have emerged, each one attempting to explain what happened inside the Cecil Hotel on that January night. None of them are comfortable. Theory 1. Accidental death during a mental health episode. The coroner's conclusion. Elisa, in a dissociative or manic state, found her way to the roof and entered the tank. Unable to get out, she drowned. The hatch fell closed. A tragic accident. Theory 2. Suicide. She had a history of depression. She was alone in an unfamiliar city. Her medications were not at therapeutic levels. The route to the tank, while strange, was not impossible for someone determined to reach it. Theory 3. Foul play. Someone was with her in that elevator, just out of frame. Someone who knew the hotel's layout. This theory has no physical evidence supporting it, but it has never been definitively ruled out. Theory 4. Something else entirely. The Cecil Hotel has such a poisoned reputation that people layer meaning onto everything connected to it. Sometimes a tragedy is not a conspiracy. Sometimes it is simply a tragedy. 4 theories, each one incomplete. Each one reaching for a truth that the evidence refuses to confirm. And perhaps that is the most disturbing part of this story. Not that she died, but that we still do not fully understand how, or why, or what she was feeling in those final hours, alone in that hotel. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. Elisa Lam deserves to be remembered as more than a mystery, more than a YouTube video, more than a theory, more than a footnote in the dark history of the Cecil Hotel. The Cecil Hotel was later rebranded as Stay on Main. It tried to shed its name and its history. It didn't fully work. These buildings carry their stories in the stone. Elisa Lam's Tumblr blog is still online. Her last post was published in late January 2013, days before she died. She wrote about travel, about cities, about getting lost in places where nobody knows you. She wrote about how freeing that felt. She never posted again. What really happened to Elisa Lam inside the Cecil Hotel will likely never be known with absolute certainty. The coroner gave us a ruling. The footage gave us questions. The building gave us its history. And none of it adds up cleanly. Maybe that's the most honest thing that can be said. Not every story has a clean ending. Not every door gets opened. Some things simply remain in the dark, waiting to be understood by someone who hasn't arrived yet. Elisa Lam was 21 years old. She wanted to see the world. She deserved the chance to see it all.